and welcome to Uncle's channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy Color game. Today focus on a game called Croc for the Game Boy Color. Now I'm going to get out of the way here. This game sucks in pretty much every way possible. The hitboxes are off, the physics are off, the music is terrible in the game, it's very repetitive, it rips off other games in just a much more inferior fashion. There's just simply not a lot of pluses to this game. I guess if I was going to say something positive about it, the overall graphics are pretty good, and the coloring is done pretty well throughout the game as well. So there is a positive, but it's a real shame because I actually enjoyed Croc for the 3D version back in the day. I had it on the PC, and I never finished the game, but I had some pretty fond memories going through it, collecting different gobos and the diamonds. And I don't know, I thought it was a pretty fun game. Maybe it's just nostalgia, playing a part in that, and I've not simply gone back and revisited it. And it's actually not a very good game either. But I actually think the 3D version probably was better than the Game Boy Color version here. And Croc himself is a fairly odd character in the overall video game history because it's developed by a company called Argonaut, who made Star Fox for the SNES. And the rumor is, anyway, who knows if it's true or not, but the rumor is that the company actually developed a 3D Yoshi game, or like a prototype of Yoshi game, took it to Nintendo. Nintendo got upset about it because they said you can't use Yoshi even in your prototypes because we own that IP. And so they fired Argonaut on the spot, and Argonaut repurposed their game from being a 3D Yoshi game to being a 3D Croc game. That's the story anyway. And also Argonaut has got upset. I don't know if they ever took it to law, court or anything, but they said that the Super Mario 64 was developed shortly after their viewing of Croc, or their viewing of the Yoshi prototype, and they said that Nintendo ripped some things off from the Yoshi prototype, or Croc of sorts, to create Mario 64. I don't know if all that's true or not. That could just simply be urban video game legend, but that's what I've heard anyway. But we're not here to talk about the 3D version of Croc. We're talking about the 2D version on the Game Boy Color, so let's go ahead and dive into it here. Now, let's start the videos out. I'll look at the box art for the game first, and the box art here is not the same as the PlayStation or the PC version. It is completely redone. You have Croc right there in the center with his one single tooth hanging out, and he is rescuing a gobo from the evil forces of Dante. Make sure I get his name right. Baron Dante. His evil forces here. Evidently, Baron Dante enjoys kidnapping gobos for whichever reason, and our goal here is to rescue the gobos and take out Baron Dante. Overall, the cover is trying to portray a cute character here on an adventure, and that's what the game is, so I think the cover is fine. Now, when you load the game up here, there is no background story or cutscene or anything like that. Instead, we get a picture of Croc, which is fairly well done. Decent music played in the background. I guess, I'll take back what I said. Not all the music in the game is trash. This one here is just simply a very average title screen soundtrack. And then we journey off into world number 1. You can just simply start the game right out the gate here. Now, every world that you journey through is going to have a little overhead map, to select the world you want to go into. Very similar to Donkey Kong Country, and it's not the only time it's going to be compared to Donkey Kong Country. There's a lot of things you're going to rip off here. But we journey into level number 1, and when you journey into it, immediately you're going to see a little gobo on top of the little question mark block. You can collect your first gobo inside the game. I don't know how many there are that you can collect, but I think if you collect all of them, you get a little special ending, perhaps. I mean, the game does keep a tally of how many you've collected thus far, and so I assume you get something for collecting them all, but you can easily finish the game and get the credits to roll and collect none of them. And so I just sort of collect the the obvious ones along the way. There are also diamonds that you can collect, and the diamonds are basically like rings inside of Sonic. You can collect a ton of diamonds, and basically every time you get hit, you're going to lose some of those diamonds. So your health is based upon the collecting of this particular resource, and it's not as punishing as Sonic. Every time you get hit, you lose, I think, 1 or 2 diamonds every time. And so some levels you can pretty much just tank your way through it, and we're actually going to get to a reason of why you might want to do that in some of these levels in here in a little bit. But as far as controls go, A is jump, B is going to be swinging your little alligator tail or crocodile tail around here, attack enemies, and you can also do a little ground pound as well. Now, as you're doing all of these moves and whatnot, you're going to notice pretty much immediately the physics are very off inside this game. When you fall down very, very fast. I'm not saying the game needs to be floaty, but this game here basically treats Croc like a rock that you're just simply throwing down at the ground. I mean, he falls very, very fast, and that's going to throw you off a little bit on some of the platforming as you're progressing through the game. But the physics aren't the only thing that's off. Also, the hitboxes. So when you're swinging your little crocodile tail here, trying to attack the enemies, I would say 3/4 of the time when you actually do this, you also get hit. There's something off about when you want to actually attack the enemies. I mean, I went through the entire game here, and the truth be told, you can get hit by almost everybody because you collect so many different diamonds. You're almost never going to run out of health here, but you just feel very defeated as you're going through the game, and you get hit by almost every single enemy. It does take away the want to try in the game, and so I'm not really a big fan of the overall hitboxes here. And then there's also the question mark blocks you're going to encounter in this overall forest. And the question mark blocks, like in Mario, you would think you just jump up and hit it and get a little item. Not the case. What you have to do is you have to jump up, and while you're in the air, swing your crocodile tail around, hit it while you're in the air coming down, and then you might actually open up the question mark block. I say might because once again, the hitboxes are off even on this. And so even getting the bonus items here to like get different diamonds and things like that, this also feels off. And so there's just something really weird about the overall programming in this game. Now, as you're going through the forest here, pretty much all of the enemies are going to be like a Muppet type variety, and they're colorful enough and cute enough here. You do end up going through like a little cave area, pretty much looks like a stereotypical cave, and then you journey back out into the forest. And along your way, you can also collect these different letters, but it's going to spell out bonus, B-O-N-U-S. And if you collect all of them, you get a bonus game at the close, and it is going to vary like which bonus game you're going to get, but every bonus game that I got in the game sucked. It was just absolutely terrible here. The first one I got was like a sliding puzzle, and I had these as a kid. Like we get them from like museums and whatnot sometimes. I never liked them. I never enjoyed them. Just like a thing to waste time when you're in the backseat of the car. Another one I got was just simply firing away like little penguins that are hopping out. All the mini games are just terrible. Maybe there's one out there I didn't get to experience. It was, better than the rest. But from what I could experience, not even worth collecting the bonus letters in order to access this extra content. But we finish up the first forest level. We journey off into the second forest level. There's going to be like a graveyard aesthetic, almost like a Halloween feel here. You have like little trees in the background and the shadows. You also have like little jack-o'-lanterns hopping around trying to attack you. Spider webs you can hop on, sort of crawl across. The graphics when you hop on the spider web and crawl across, this is lifted directly out of Gex. I mean, it looks just like it here. I feel like they might have ripped off some of the animation. I mean, hard to say for sure, but Gex was out like a solid 10 years before this game, and it's just really similar looking. Then we journey into level 3, which is going to be a jungle aesthetic here. You got little waterfalls in the background, dart machines or dart guns shooting out at you. But overall, this level is going to feel pretty much the same as the last two. Level 4 is going to journey off into the ancient ruins, and like I said earlier, like the graphics and the overall aesthetic is fine in the game. It's just simply ruined by the overall gameplay mechanics. And then in the 5th level here, they're going to try to swap the gameplay up just a little bit, and it is a really atrocious level here. It starts off a little drill behind you, and you're running on the train tracks or little mine tracks here, trying to avoid the drill from touching you and also make all your jumps. And I'm here to tell you, the jumps in here are just simply off. As far as like when you can actually jump and where you're going to land, it just simply doesn't make a lot of sense, and you end up falling a lot here to your death for pretty much no reason. However, when you finish up this part, then you journey into the minecart itself, obviously a ripoff of Donkey Kong Country once again. And as you're going through this, it's actually pretty fun. The physics are very well done for this one. All the jumps come very natural. It makes me think that possibly the other level, or the first part of this level where you're actually running along the tracks, they're actually using hitboxes that correspond to the cart and not Croc himself. And so that's why the hitboxes or the physics are off as far as like when you want to land on the track for the first part. But this part here plays wonderfully, one of the best parts in the game. So you have like the worst part of the game and the best part of the game all squished into one nice little concise level here. Then we come across our first boss in the game. It's going to be a giant ladybug, and the ladybug's a boxer here, and every time she takes a swing and misses at you, then you can roll into her, and when you roll into her, she sort of falls down, do a ground pound, do this 3 times over, and you've taken the first boss out. Then we journey off into world number 2, which is going to be the snow world or the winter world. And I have to say, like when you journey off into this in the first level, I was really excited because I was like, all right, a cartoony game, a winter world, wonderful soundtrack is surely on my way. And no, we get an awful sound here. It doesn't sound anything like winter or Christmas time. I don't know what direction they're going for. I'll let a little bit play right here. I don't know. Me personally, I just do not like this song, and pretty much every other song throughout the rest of the game is going to follow in this like musical style here, and it's just simply not very good. As far as the level itself, you do have a pretty cool little enemy here. You have a little polar bear or blue bear. He like has a little snowball, rolls it down the hill, and it grows larger as it's coming down the hill. A good little enemy mechanic, and the overall aesthetic of the snow world looks just fine in the background as well. Now, level number 2 is going to be an alpine ski lift, and anytime you jump on the alpine ski lift, you have to follow the little track here. However, even on this, the programming is a little bit off, because if you jump while you're on the ski lift stops, and this is like the opposite of every video game I've ever played. If you're on a moving platform and you hop, the platform is supposed to continue moving, and you're supposed to compensate for that. So if you hop in the air, press off to the right a little bit, you're then going to fall to your death down below. And I don't know, it's just it just felt like they didn't really know how to program some of these levels. Now, the 3rd level of the winter world, you're going to go down the actual ski slope here. Very similar mechanics to the minecart level. Everything's programmed perfectly here. Everything feels natural. The physics are good. The hitboxes as far as like where you're going to land on the tracks. Everything perfect, very easy, very fun level. I'm telling you, if the game had just simply focused on this type of physics and this type of game, I feel like it would have been a much better product as an overall. However, the next level here is going to go back to being pretty much the same mechanics as the first winter level. Pretty much nothing to write home about on that one. And then you get to the boss of the winter world, which can be the Ice Goblin. And the Ice Goblin basically takes these nice little leaps. And when he lands on the ground, he's stunned for a second. You roll into him, and then he's going to divide into multiple goblins. And you're going to simply have to take the other goblins out and do using the exact same mechanics. Not too hard of a boss. Then we journey off into the third world, which is going to be a desert world. I mean, it really went with the most basic overall aesthetics here. I mean, think about it. Forest, desert, winter, and then the final one's gonna be like a castle here. They really didn't want to think too far outside the box. In this level, you do have a few new enemies. You have like little scorpions that are coming back and forth across the screen. However, there is one enemy here that should not be an enemy. You have these little water oases or groundwater that sort of burst out of the ground. And when I saw this on the level, I was like, all right, cool. I should be able to stand on that. It's going to push me up in the air, sort of like in Mario 2. Not the case at all. The water is actually an enemy in the game, and it can hurt you if you get hit by the water. I don't think there's any other game out there that took the idea or the direction here to make the water an enemy or a bad guy, but leave it to Croc to go, fight against the grain here. Go in their own direction and make the water an enemy. You also go into like a little tomb here, got some mummies, but as you're going through here, like I mentioned earlier in the game, you get sort of fed up with it after a while, and you sort of start rushing through the levels and just simply tanking the hits as you go, because you know you're going to get more diamonds to refill your health. And I'm not saying you could go through like the entire game rushing it, but you can go through a lot of it. Now, the second level of the desert world, you're going to go through a lava cave, very similar to the earlier caves in the game, just a few more paths that you can journey along, nothing too special about it. Then you get to the third part of the desert level, which is a full water level, which doesn't make any sense why you're going to put the water level inside the desert world. Whichever. But as you're going through here, they're clearly trying to, rip off of Donkey Kong Country here. The overall aesthetic looks directly out of Donkey Kong Country. The music, though, Donkey Kong Country's music, David Wise, fantastic soundtrack for the water world. Listen to what they chose for the soundtrack of the water world. An abomination to all water soundtracks out there, but not as much as it's going to be when you actually get to the mechanics of how you swim in the water. You press up instead of the A button to swim up, but when you let go of the up button, then you begin to sink down. And so it's completely opposite of every other swimming game I've ever played as far as like 2D wise goes, and it just simply feels terrible as you're going through it. And then also the spin animation while you're in the water. Look at this here. I don't know what Croc, I keep wanting to call him Gex. I don't know what Croc is trying to do here, but it's a really weird looking little move. And I don't know, the water level was a truly terrible level here. The fish enemies, though, they're pretty much normal fish enemies for a level. Now, the fourth level of the desert is going to be a magic carpet, and this is once again going back to the same mechanics of the minecart and the ski lift. Excellent level. No complaints on this one at all. Level 5 here is your journey through the Middle Eastern town. A normal level overall. Felt a little bit like I was playing Shantae again, at least for a second. Just simply the creativity of that game would have been missing here. And then you get to the boss of the desert level, which is a giant golem. And he spins around and throws like little projectiles out at you. You simply have to duck down, avoid it all. And when he sort of gets dizzy a little bit, go up there, knock him in or slash him a little bit with your tail, and take him out pretty quick. Then we journey off into the fourth world here, which is the castle world. And we're basically journeying through the overall landscape of Baron Dante in order to take him out. Level 1 is like a dark forest. There's really nothing to say about the levels except the overall aesthetic change. The platforming is going to be identical. Level 2 here, I don't really have hardly anything to say about it because I decided to tank the entire level and just simply run through it, take all the hits. And also, if you want to take the tank strategy here and you don't want to take a chance on running out of diamonds, you can go back into any previous level that you've gone through and you just simply collect diamonds, close out the level, go back into it, collect some diamonds, close out the level, go back into it. And you can go into a new level of like 80 or 90 diamonds here, and you can pretty much tank your way through the entire thing without any fear of passing away. But one word of advice, if you're going to go about this, do not get more than 100 diamonds, because then it flips you over and gives you an extra life. It takes you back down to 0 on your health bar. And so you're actually worse off than you were when you actually started your diamond collecting. Another odd mechanic or odd choice here. Then level 3 of the castle levels, you're going to journey into the actual castle. Reminds me a little bit of Bowser's Castle from Super Mario World. But then you journey into level 4, and my lord, they completely ripped off the ghost houses of Super Mario World. The little stained glass windows in the background, the staircases. This looks identical to a basically a Game Boy version of Super Mario world. Not very impressed as far as like mechanics though. Then you get to the boss of King Baron Dante himself, and he basically sort of rushes back and forth at the bottom of the screen, hops up, throws projectiles every now and then, and you basically just tantrum and then jump down there and basically do his little crocodile tail smash, and then you have to ground pound on him, and you repeat this 3 times over. It's a fairly long battle because he loves to run when he gets going, but not a very difficult battle either. Now, when you finish it up, it says you can play it again and try to collect the jigsaw pieces. So they're trying to encourage you to go back into the game again. You can also go back into it and try to collect all of the gobos if you want to. So there is an opportunity to replay the game, but I can't say like for sure you would want to replay the game because it's simply not very fun as an overall. Then you have the closing scenes of journeying through all the different levels here that you've come across, little gobos rejoicing in the background. And then we have a really cool scene here of Croc on a mountainside in the shadow, and they really should have done more of this scene because it's like a really cool looking scene in the game. This is probably my favorite thing about the game. It's this one particular picture. Wonderful. But then they go ahead and mess that up too, because what they should have done is allowed the credits to scroll across the screen for a nice little finale to the game, but instead they just simply go to a black screen and let the credits scroll across that, and so they even ruin what could have been a cool credit scene. Like I said, overall this is just simply not a very good game. The worst part about it is going to be the physics and the hitboxes and just simply the overall poor programming or poor ideas that they had throughout the process. The overall aesthetic, you know, it's fine for most of it here. It's not a bad looking game. It's not an ugly game, but it's just simply not very fun to play, and you're going to be frustrated throughout most of it, but it's also not very hard. So you're probably going to be able to finish it with without really much trouble either. But overall, I'd probably give this game we're going to give it a 3 out of 10 because, like I said, the graphics are good, and that's pretty much all that you can write home about it. And I feel like I'm probably giving it maybe a little extra credit because I enjoyed Croc on the PC. Maybe, so we're going to let a little bit of my nostalgia play an effect, but we're going to say 3 out of 10. If you ever played Croc on the Game Boy Color, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, check out my other videos, listed above, and go out there, find a great game to play, so have a great rest of the day.